$7 the Garnet Old show. No inside info, no contacts, no problem. I'm Ryan. That's Vince. How are you today, Vince?
I'm doing great, Ryan. I know you're not doing so great. I mean, you're
I'm doing
okay.
all right.
You're
Yeah,
okay. Ryan is back. Those of you that were watching the show last week, I let everybody know that Ryan had some family stuff to take care of. Ryan, they were sending their wishes to you, just so you know.
I appreciate that. I know, thing, Vince, and can you still hear me? My
Yeah.
camera flickered for a second. All right.
I can hear
So one thing I know is that when I'm away, the show is in good hands. Like a good neighbor, Vince Ciccarelli is there,
BC Noles
and
there.
VC Noel is there. Now tonight, I have a little bit of a cold, not terrible. There's a big difference between like COVID cold and like a head cold.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're feeling, 80%. Well, so let's call this your 80% game.
Yeah,
But one thing that I'm really glad about is that you are back in the Captain Black Fishing Studios Central. And here I am in the Captain Black Fishing Studios North. John Black, who is Captain Black. And if you don't know John, if you've gone to any of the games this past season, and they have that game where they're trying to show somebody with the best hair, right?
yeah,
And they pull people up on the video board. John is the guy that occasionally is wearing gold lame and this blonde long wig.
hmm
That is Captain John Black. He's a friend of mine from way back, and he owns a charter fishing company in Panama City. And if you're looking for some charter fishing opportunities, I mean, I'm sure they're going on right now, even though it's like 40 degrees. But give them a call and let them know Garnet and Old sent you. That's Captain Black's Fishing out of Panama City Beach.
And if you are new to the show, please like and subscribe to the Garnet and Old Show. We do a weekly live show. We do a twice monthly members only show, and you become a member by hitting the join button. And also get some time to talk to us on X and submit your comments, questions, and concerns as part of being a member of the show. You can also Venmo and Super Chat in the show. Unlike the spring showcase, the Garden Old Show rolls on.
We will roll on. We're going to talk deep about that tonight because there are some, as you know, Ryan, there are some things about that decision
Yep.
that when you just make that decision. If you're in that role and you have the ability to make that decision,
Yeah.
you might think it's not that big of a deal, but it is a big deal for a couple of different reasons, and we can get into that for sure. Um, by the way, Ryan, you were gone last week, and I've added a couple of fancy features to the show here, as you can see on the screen. We
Nice.
can get a good real time look here at how many people are watching on YouTube
I
and
didn't notice till
Facebook
just now.
and X. Yeah, and I plug this every week, and I'm not trying to badger people. I'm just trying to remind people that your likes on the YouTube show, on the YouTube side of things, really help drive this show getting out to the masses.
Yep.
So regardless of where you watch it, hop on over there to YouTube real quick, like and subscribe, grab the link, and show and share it wherever you are. Share it in X, share it in Facebook, share it in YouTube, share it in TikTok, which is about to get banned. Share it in Blue Sky, wherever you are.
What about in Red Note?
Sure, I don't know what that is.
That's Chinese TikTok. It's the big thing now because the government is worried about all of us getting our data taken from TikTok. People are migrating into by droves into the CCP controlled Rednote app and giving away
Okay.
more than their data, but also signing up for selective service without them even knowing.
Oh, without, it's a phishing scam, pretty
Yeah,
much. Here you go. Sign up for this, and there's a little caveat down there in the bottom that says, as part of your subscription, you will be conscripted into 15 years of service.
yeah, exactly. And what's interesting now, I don't think the TikTok ban will actually happen. I think something will happen in the last minute.
Probably not.
But we've considered going live and trying to figure out TikTok. It's odd. It's an odd setup when you're using these kind of services because we would have to use a separate connector, Vince, that redirects. And I've looked into this. Redirects our stream on
We
the.
could do it. We could do it.
But
And
we'll see how it goes. If it doesn't get banned, maybe we'll look into it.
well, I saw today that, or was it yesterday, that Mr. Beast is putting forth a financial package to buy TikTok. So
Yep.
we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, you heard Elon's name mentioned. That would be interesting. If I was
Never hear
Elon,
his name.
if Elon were to buy TikTok, the best thing he could do is just make a new feature in X and just merge the features in there, and that would probably be the best thing to do. But this isn't the TikTok show. This is the
Oh,
Garnet Old show.
it's never been the
Let's
TikTok show.
let's get to some comments and even some fun ones in the chat. How's the SEC invite coming along? Actually, uh, sir, if you paid attention to the Garnet Old show in the past, you would actually know that I believe Vince and I are still pretty sure it's going to end up being not the SEC but the Big Ten. So I don't see it going very well at all to the SEC.
Yeah, I'm not sure. W. Walat Harris of Westwood. I don't know. Have you been watching the show at all? But yeah, I've been on the Big Ten wagon for a while. I don't know. We were kind of thinking it would happen sooner rather than later, but things get in the way. But I would give the Big Ten a higher percentage than the SEC when that finally goes down.
Yeah. Now, Brett Taylor, friend of the show, he's home on Thursday night and can watch live. Awesome. We're so excited that you're here, Brett.
Mm.
As always, here,
You also smashed the like button, by the way.
yeah, we are not ignorant, and neither are any of the other shows. We have a couple friends at Renegade Report, friends with Chris over at, what do you call it?
Radix.
At Sporadics. And this time of year gets slow. But what we can do what this time of year does afford is us to have a little bit more fun and not serious conversations and not feel like we're missing on delivering some kind of news or information. But we do have one piece of news, which we alluded to earlier, which is that the spring game is not going to happen. Now, in the announcement, there was some background done. I read on the Democrat that they inquired about having the spring game elsewhere, but that there were some rules where they would lose training time. I don't know how much of that is real. My guess, Vince, is they asked but did not really try too hard. Uh, my guess is the focus right now is getting better and not being too intense next year. And they probably don't give a whole heck of a lot of care to the spring game, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think when they got some pushback on whatever the alternative was going to be, there wasn't a lot of fight in them to move forward with
Hmm.
whatever it was going to be. But I don't think it's. I get what you're saying in terms of they got to get better because they do. Um, but there's been a spring showcase or a spring game since forever, and and
Yeah,
and that did not preclude a team from being great or preclude a team from being terrible. So to say that that extra practice or two is going to make or break, then that means that they haven't been doing all the work in the off season that they need to be
that's
doing.
right.
The deal though is, and so I'm going to take a little bit of I'm going to take a little umbrage with the fan base here, of which I'm one. How much complaining have we heard, Ryan, in the last 2 to 3 years about the makeup of the showcase and what it really is? All we heard about was how it wasn't any fun. It's not a real game. I'm
It's gotten
really
worse.
it's gotten worse, and I'm just going to watch drills, and so this is all this complaining about it, and then you hear that they are not going to do it. Then everybody complained about that. So in true God bless America red, white, and blue fashion, We're going to complain about anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. We're just going to complain. What do you think about that?
Yeah. It would be a lie to say I wasn't disappointed. There's a difference between complaining and being disappointed. I will do anything to have a nugget of extra Florida State football, anything happen, not only because we cover the team and it's good for our channel, but also because when it's in the middle of spring and you have another couple months till football season and you're dying for anything,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll take the spring game most of the time, even if it's not great. It's a chance at what I've considered it over the last couple of years since it stopped being a game, Vince, is an excuse to just get together with fellow Noles and tailgate while there actually is something Florida State related happening that day and enjoying the weather before it gets miserable. It's usually warm, but it's usually not miserable yet. And by
Right.
the way, Tallahassee may be getting snow next week.
That's correct.
So I like the spring game just because it's cool enough to enjoy. You got some good food, some drinks. You don't care what happens that day in the spring showcase. You're really just there, like, hey,
As
what do
long
we
as
want to
people
do?
don't get hurt. That's what you're hoping, really. We get
Yeah.
out of here, nobody gets hurt.
hmm Now, what it did concern me about, here's where I will complain. This does raise my alarm bells um, on their confidence that it will be done in time for the Alabama game, because it's not like they didn't know this construction would be going on during the springtime this whole time. My guess is they thought they would have certain amounts of construction done enough to allow some semblance of a spring showcase to happen. I don't think they've planned this all along, or else when they announced the stadium upgrades, they would have said at the beginning, and the spring game in 2025 will not happen. They would have announced that a long time ago. There was no reason to wait. This tells me that they're a little concerned about being behind schedule, and that I think it's maybe a little bit more disorganized. I mean, the camera, you definitely know construction's happening. I'm not saying there isn't. But the pictures they posted doesn't look a whole lot different than it did at the end of the season. What's your take on that?
Well, a lot of that's probably going on right now is infrastructure. And you're not seeing any of the superficial stuff. It's like when we built this house that we're in, right? It's I would come down here during the construction, and I was like, every day I was almost here, and there was nothing going on and nothing going on and nothing going on, and I couldn't see it. And then all of a sudden I came down one day and the whole frame is up, right? So I don't disagree that what you're saying, that they're concerned about timelines, because I think whenever you have a construction project, you are concerned about timelines, especially when you have an actual date that it has to be ready by, and there's no fudging that date. But you're talking about a day and a half. If it's that close, if it's that close that day and a half is going to make a difference, then there are other problems going on with the stadium, in terms of the logistics of it, the subcontracting, whatever
Yeah.
going on. But I don't know that a day and a half. It's more to me that they saw an opportunity to not put something else on the plate and have a legitimate excuse of why.
Yeah.
Legitimate is a relative term, but the fan base isn't happy about it, Ryan, and
Yeah.
I think mostly because the fan base, while the showcase itself is not an end all beat all entertainment greatness, they do like getting together, and they do like going and hanging out with people they haven't seen in a while in Tallahassee, and just doing that and just being together. Which brings me to something I brought up to you before the show started, is that I started talking to Ryan briefly a little bit ago about maybe there's an opportunity here for a grassroots movement, for some of us to get together, pick a weekend, and put something together in Tallahassee. And as I was pondering this in my brain, I saw a tweet from Madison. Social about a half an hour ago, where it looks like they're planning to do that. And so I think they posted this the weekend of April 12th or something like that. So be on the lookout for that. And I messaged them and said, hey, keep us informed because it would be great to be part of that, whatever it is, whether there's a game or not. And there might be some other sports going on that weekend, which would make it even more fun.
Yeah, I thought what would be interesting idea. One way they could have, I think, gotten away with this, well, without doing a spring showcase. And I'm surprised they didn't do this. Vince, you remember back in the olden times, before the spring game, you would go to the Tuck,
For the
and there
fans,
would be fan day for autographs, and like you, hey, they would do silly stuff like set up the bags to jump on and like see who has the highest vert and all that fun
sure.
stuff. And I actually quite like that event. I'm not sure why they ever stopped doing that. I don't know if it's because the NCAA maybe limited certain. I don't know the answers behind that, but I was surprised they did not, if not a showcase, do something for the fans, or even partner with like the baseball program and have it be a halftime Florida State football celebration at the middle of a baseball game or something, or before or after, anything like that.
That's what I'm saying is that it
Yeah.
doesn't, we think of the spring showcase as being a football event, but why can't it be just an FSU athletics spring showcase?
Hmm.
When there's stuff going on in town, football can be part of it, obviously, because there's not going to be, the game or the showcase or whatever they're going to call it.
Yeah.
But why just give up? You know, this town, Tallahassee, is not the biggest, market, and those local businesses, you know, look forward to people coming into town. Like it makes or breaks them from month to month sometimes.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand the quick give up on doing something. Don't think so narrow minded. Why does it have to be specifically this year? Why does it have to be specifically about football?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be. It literally can be a spring showcase of all athletics. It could be,
Do a Saturday
you
night
know,
downtown get down.
absolutely. Bring in. There's plenty of media. I talked about this last week. I think there are so many FSU shows and radio shows and YouTube shows, and like everyone could be promoting that, and then you would get a huge turnout. I would think.
Yeah, especially locally for an event like that. It's good for the community. We know several business owners in Tallahassee, including the owner of the Palace, which for some of you may not. Listen, it's exactly what it is: cheap beer, good location, and a good owner. And it really makes a difference to them. I know it only sounds like, oh, the spring game, who cares? But for the local businesses in Tallahassee who, other than students during the normal part of the year, kind of live for football events, it does make a difference. So it would have been cool. Here's where my mind goes, Vince, and where you could have got. They went to the very traditional. Hey, here's the easiest solution route of just canceling it, right? The creative solution would have been like, let's do a Saturday downtown get down. Invite like all the shows, all the podcasts, and do like a podcast row setup.
This
All
is
your
exact Ryan. What you're talking about
Yeah.
is exactly what I messaged to Madison Social about.
Let's
Let's
get
do a
all the
radio
shows.
row. Let's do a radio row. Let's have, there's a bunch of restaurants there, right? I mean, I'm sure there, at least when I was going to school, there were plenty of local bands like
Hmm.
that you would go and watch that would love to be part of that. And it could literally be a celebration of FSU in general, but athletics.
Yeah, and it would be fun too, especially I don't know. My guess is that the bigger shows like Jeff Cameron will do their own thing. Probably, I'm assuming they'll do something at Corner Pocket or something like that. But especially for us, Renegades, Beer Addicts, like those kind of shows who have a good following, but maybe aren't like on the big radio stations or anything,
Yeah.
or a big website. I think you bring all those people together. You have a few players come out, sign some autographs, have a band, maybe one like 90s or early 2000s band that isn't too expensive to get, come out and play a concert afterwards. Like you could do this, and I that's where it bothers me, Vince, is creative marketing.
Yeah.
Man, there's so many easy wins when you're desperately needing easy wins that to just be like, nah.
That's what, I go back to what I said a bit ago is that it just seems like they were like wet fish about it. Like, yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We're not going to make a big deal about it.
Mhm.
No, you need positive things. You need people to have a positive outlook on what's happening. You need these things right now.
Yep.
Well, always you need them, but especially after the season we just had, um, it just screams of not being prepared, first of
Mhm.
all, and then also not caring to follow through on something that a lot of people look forward to. The fan base is not they're not going to avoid talking negatively about this.
Right.
The program didn't need that.
Yep. And
Speaking of there's one other thing about this before we get off the topic, if we are, and that is, I know no one thinks of the spring showcase in this manner, but let me also say that the spring showcase or the spring game or the Garnet and Gold game, whatever you want to call it, whatever it's been called through the
the
years,
Garnet Old game.
it's a short game, is very important to the spring program of the Marching Chiefs.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
There,
huge.
there are important things that happen during that time where the new drum majors are voted
Yep.
on and selected. Like that's all part of that weekend.
Yeah.
And they'll find a different way to do that. And they will. But I'm just saying it's not just about you and I going to Tallahassee and throwing back a few beers, right? There are other pieces of this that I think there's just a lot of sightedness on the decision that was made.
Yeah, and I will say to all of you watching out there, Vince and I, although we don't know what it will look like, what it will be, or who it will be with, I think we're sound enough to commit that we will do something in the spring in Tallahassee.
Yeah,
And we will announce it and we'll advertise it and we'll tell you where it's going to be. All of you will be invited, all of that fun stuff. So, not mark your calendars yet, but at least have the calendars open.
yeah. I mean, if it works out that what Madison Social is going to do, that we're involved in that, I mean, I hope so. Um, but we will definitely promote what they're doing anyway. But if ours coincides with that, great. If it doesn't, Ryan and I will also do what we can to include others as well in what we're going to do.
Absolutely. And I think R. Wilmer says it best here. Help these guys. Hit the like button and subscribe. It
It
doesn't
costs
cost
nothing.
nothing.
It doesn't. It doesn't cost nothing. Memberships do cost. So Ryan, why don't you do some shout outs here from the chat,
Yeah.
and I will see what's going on here on the YouTube free gifting.
Yeah. Brett Taylor, friend of the show. Instead of going to the spring game, I'm going to make a weekend baseball series. I love it. Um, a whole lot of our Michael here's also in the chat. Michael writes, just cancel this session and talk about how great the team is. There you go. Yeah, that would be Cameron's just take. They're going to tell us that they're going to be undefeated. Brian's Brian Simmons. Yeah, you should have something for the fans. At least 20 or 25K would show up. Exactly.
They would. They
They would.
would. And the
Yep.
businesses need it.
And Tomcat, I already brought up one of his comments, but Tomcat, as always, who has met up with us in Tallahassee before and had a little fun with us. So we definitely want to do something. My recommendation, Vince, is let's pick
Let's pick a
not
weekend.
it's pick we can pick a weekend in the next couple weeks, and then let's make sure it's not yet hot like in that area
Yeah.
because Big Papa East is a big Papa and he doesn't like to sweat.
Yeah, you should actually be Big Papa North. If you were Big Papa North, then you wouldn't have to worry so much about the heat. Um,
I do want to shout out. This is bringing me to my next topic, Vince, and this is one that I didn't plan on talking about, but it's fun. We get to have fun a little bit.
Tonight we do because there's
Yeah,
really,
no
it is
news.
what it is in a January show.
Yep,
And by the way, we do have some memberships that we could give away. So when the time comes, Ryan, when you're ready to do that, we can do that.
yep.
And for those of you that are watching, the free gifting of YouTube memberships is for YouTube. So if you want to get one of those, you're going to have to jump over to YouTube to watch, at least for that time period.
And by the way, this weekend, and Vince, you're invited. I don't. I'll either do it Saturday or Sunday. I'm going to do a members only show, and I was planning on doing it. And what I want to do, and it'll be another non-football related show. We like to get let people get to know us here, Vince. I want to do each of our top 10 favorite movies of all time.
Oh, that'll be fun.
That'd be fun, right?
That'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, a little bit off
But
the beaten path. We don't have to talk about
yeah,
football per se. Or, maybe, Ryan, we talk about our top 10 movies or TV shows that have some kind of relationship to Florida State.
that would be tough for me to do that.
Not as difficult as you think.
How about we do this? We'll do the movies and TV shows regular, and
Okay.
then we'll give at the end of that our favorites that were evolved around Florida State.
Okay. Sounds
So
good.
to be clear, the show will be top 10 favorite shows and movies.
Okay.
It'd be fun. The reason I say is because every show, I'm a Patreon member of a few podcasts I listen to, and all of their podcasts throughout the week, their normal ones that are free for everyone, are always about whatever topic they cover. But my favorite ones they do are ones that I get to know them,
Sure. Yeah.
and it's fun to have that banter. But what I want to talk about tonight, Vince, is our favorite places to have a nice drink in Tallahassee. Now, there's a couple of them for me, and it doesn't have to be like a bar necessarily, but just a place to hang out. I actually showed Vince this place 3 years ago
Wow. That's a long time ago.
on Capitol Circle Northeast, right by the highway where Chick-fil-A is on Capitol Circle. There's a place, small. You have to really know where it is or be a local. Growler Country. It literally is in like a little tiny shopping mall. You wouldn't know it was there. They have what, like four patio seats outside. But then you walk in, you're like, okay, this place looks terrible. But then you walk in, and it's all gorgeous, like super heavy duty hardwood tables and seats. There's a lot of chairs, a lot of tables, low tops, high tops. And for those of you who aren't familiar with like growlers and everything, you can either, of course, sample. They have a ton of local brews and from around Tallahassee and some national ones as well. But then you can also get growlers to go of your favorite beer. And their selection, Vince, you have to say, was not only impressive but very delicious.
Yeah, I had never been to that place before, and I haven't been since, honestly, because I often forget about it.
And you're
And
often with
Growler,
family too.
right,
Yeah.
Country, by the way, not a sponsor, but maybe they would want to be. It is a really great place. If you've not been there, that's a great place to go have a beer for sure.
All right, Vince, your turn.
Um, Man, great place to have a beer. I mean, I have to say the Palace.
Yeah, if you want that experience.
Then
Explain the
the
experience for those that don't know the palace.
Yeah, I mean, the nostalgia of the Palace is just, I went there when I was a student, and it is, pretty much the same exactly. And, it's one of those places where, and I don't want to get in too much trouble with my buddy. It's one of those places where you don't really want them to turn the lights on at night.
Hmm.
Like you don't want to, you just want to enjoy it. But it's just your typical, college bar. And, it's one of those things. It would be on us. If I was going to go hopping, if I was going to go bar hopping during the night, that would be one of the places I would go and have a beer before I moved
Yeah,
on.
I'm also I'll run off a few of them. You can run off any other ones that are you're thinking about. Hobbits on Ocala,
Yeah.
right near the Publix. From the time I was in college, I think it's still there. I'm pretty sure it is. We went there 2 years ago, Vince, with you and your family after a game. I think.
Yeah, it used to be called Hobbit Hoagie. Now it's Hobbit All American Grill or something like that.
Yep, cheap beer, a lot of beer specials.
Yeah.
I also really like because it doesn't have to be beer; it can just be a place to drink. Can't go wrong with buy one get one at El Jalisco,
Mm,
right? And then
it's true.
finally, and this I'm bringing this up for a reason. This is what spurred this topic because I want to mention it.
Oh my gosh.
Vince, what is my favorite restaurant in Tallahassee?
Kush's.
Kush's. Yep, I like the one on Capitol Circle, way off in the
Yeah.
north side of Tallahassee. Not the one downtown's fine, but the reason I bring it up, not only is it a good place with great food and big old portions for Big Papa East, but this season they will be on Dine-ins, Drive-ins, and Dives with Guy Fieri.
Yes. Important to note, um, Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives was also at what was the other place that's right
Midtown
off of
Caboose.
I-10? No. It was off of I-10 and Mahan. It's that farm to table place that's right there, I think.
I don't remember.
They were just there, and that was on their episode 2 weeks ago, I think. So
Hmm.
you're going to get two Tallahassee staples pretty much in the span of about 2 months with Guy Fieri.
Yeah, get you a muffin too at Kush's because it
Kush's.
used to be the mill back in the day. For those of you who
Hmm.
have been around, and I was living there at one point when it was the mill. I was a child, but my parents would bring them home, and they were delicious, and they still are. Same recipe
And
still.
then right, and the mill burned down, and but the owners now have Kush's. Raj has got an interesting. Yeah, I knew you were going to pull that up. The Juliana Ciccarelli bartending experience is top notch. The PB&J bourbon drink is especially notable. Yes, it's a great. My backyard, Ryan, is a great place to have a drink. And I will elaborate a little bit. I won't get too deep,
Next
but
time, next time I see you, Vince, or next time we get together, and Juliana's in town, I want her to make me a drink if that's possible.
yeah. So the short version of this is my wife turned a very significant birthday this year.
30.
Yes, and we could not celebrate her at her normal time because of football games, and then there was graduation and homecoming and all these other things. So we ended up doing her birthday extravaganza right before Christmas, like the week before that, and we did it up right, man. We had the backyard was beautiful, white tables and tablecloths and white lights
Wow.
and this incredible spread of food. But my daughter Juliana, recent graduate of Florida State
And Marching Chiefs.
and the Marching Chiefs, was the bartender. She wanted to be the bartender for the evening, and she and my other daughter came up with drinks in the theme of my wife. So one of them, because my wife loves a good peanut butter and jelly sandwich, she found a recipe for a PB&J drink, which is exactly what you think it would be: screwball, and a little bit of blackberry bourbon,
Yeah.
or whatever it was, blackberry brandy. But it was delicious.
It sounds delicious, Vince. It reminds me of one thing. For the first, I would say 2, 3 years after I was in college or graduate, like when I would come back home with my dad, and I was old enough, you could tell at first it was odd for him to see me drinking, like making myself cocktails.
Right.
But then by the time I was, let's say, like 24, 25, then it became, oh, you're still my dad, but we're friends instead. Let's drink together. And now we just party it up together and go on cruises. So what is the vibe? I know, I'm sure I know you're cool with it. But what do you have any, like, man, this is weird for me feelings? Because my dad did at first.
No, it's not weird for me, and I'll tell you why. When my kids were younger, I've always had a really great relationship with my daughters. I hope that's always the case, and there's no reason why there shouldn't be. If it is, it's my fault. But but I always thought about what they would be like when they would be older, and there were several times in their growing up years where I would verbally say to them, "I can't wait till you're old enough for us to belly up to the bar and have a drink together." So it's not weird to me at all, actually.
Yeah, which is probably the healthier way of doing it. Because
Um,
then it's not taboo by the time they're in college, so they'd have no temptation to be, rebellious.
right. Our buddy Raj is here, and Raj is a longtime watcher of the
I
show,
do
and
want to say I'm sorry, Raj, for the you having to be in the Pop Tarts Bowl and lose.
well, they were in a bowl
I
though,
love
and
you,
we were
Raj,
not.
but I love you.
Um, but Raj went to Poor Paul's and he enjoyed it. Poor Paul's is also a staple, and so yeah, I've been to Poor Paul's many, many, many times.
Midtown Caboose also good.
But Raj, you guys got to not be trading out defensive coordinators every year. You got to figure that out.
Yeah,
And I saw something recently that Derek Nicholson is being tabbed to go be the linebacker coach at Missouri, maybe.
Vince, there are some weird happenings
Yeah,
in the world of college football. You have Bill Belichick potentially never signed his contract in North Carolina. You have Deion Sanders might be the Dallas Cowboys head. There's the whole world is it's changed so fast, man.
I'm not typically an "I told you so" kind of guy,
Yeah,
Ryan, but when it happens and Dion leaves Colorado
which I do
this
think he'll go to
year,
the Cowboys. By the way,
this year,
yeah,
um, it is not going to shock me at all.
hmm
But was it a mutually beneficial relationship? I think it was. I mean, you can't say that Colorado didn't benefit from him being there.
sure.
Now
They showed interest. Yeah,
they may completely bottom out,
they will.
but at least for the last 2 years or so,
The Bill Belichick one's weird though. So you're
yeah,
telling me he was
sure.
announced as a head coach, did the press conference, the whole nine,
Mhm.
and now we're finding out he never signed his contract. How's that
Yeah,
possible?
and there's some kind of crazy, ridiculous minimal buyout for him to leave by a certain date.
But how is it possible you didn't get the guy to sign his contract and announce him?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's funny. It's funny. Yeah.
It's the whole thing is a circus. College football is a circus, and I'll be happy when some of the clowns get put back in the car because we need to get some stability a little bit, some stability around the transfer portal, which the coaches, I think you saw this, the coaches were kind of in full agreement that they need a singular portal window in January,
Which is good.
um, which should happen.
And we can look forward to it every year and do shows around it. That would be fun.
Um, and, and and just all this other stuff. So we need some more stability there. Speaking of stability, let's have a stable group of people watching the members only show this weekend. I am about to gift 5 memberships on YouTube to YouTube viewers right now. So if you're watching on X right now, and there are some people that are watching on X, if you want to hop over to YouTube real quick, I'll give you like 30 seconds to get there. Press this button. You see them pop up in the feed, and it's first come, first serve. And what this gets you is a month of membership.
Hmm.
I think at the medium level, I think
Yeah, you'll still have access to the
how many
shows.
levels we have? 5 levels.
We
Or
have three, and
okay.
one of them, we actually, Vince, I actually think we might need to do two events in the spring, even the same weekend, but maybe two different ones. Because, Vince, one of the perks of the upper tier membership is a private members only events
Yeah,
for the top
that's true.
tier.
And we haven't been able to do it yet. So that would be a perfect time to do it. So
Yeah.
let's do it right now. I'm going to get 5 memberships. You'll see them in the feed. It will give you a free membership for a month. If you choose to continue after that, that's on you. But here you go.
I think we need to abandon Facebook, Vince. Look at that. Facebook stinks. We haven't.
It could be a problem with the connection though
I think
too,
it is because I know people that watch on Facebook,
and
and
only watch on Facebook. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
looks like Riz P. Oh, but our buddy Raj, our Kane buddy, got a membership here. Suzanne Bajur, CHJ 229, Noel Blooded, and Lee Brown was gifted a membership. Buddy Lee Brown as well. Lee was at the the Shannon shindig.
Yeah. Get
Got
the
to
invite.
enjoy some of those drinks as well. What'd you
Here's
say?
I said I wasn't invited.
Well, it's different. These are local people, Ryan. You are no longer local.
Yeah, that's true. I think I'm going to be in Jacksonville. When is the Super Bowl weekend?
I don't know.
I think isn't it the last week of February or something like that. There's a
First week of
possibility,
February. I don't know.
something like that. There might be a possibility I'll either be in Jacksonville for Super Bowl weekend, or Vince, when I get back from my cruise, I'm going to New York City for a week with my company, which I will be doing the Garnet Old show live,
From
New York.
Times Square.
Maybe Sabaros while I grab a New York slice.
Right. You're going to do that, and you're going to. Oh, speaking of, I need you to go to a pizza joint while you're there, and I'll talk to you off air about it. But you could do like the big Papa East ball drop, and
I could. That
we'll do a
sounds
Garnet and Old.
that sounds weird, but
It's true.
it
Yeah.
sure.
It, yes, it does sound weird. All right. Speaking of ball drop, um, or maybe not. Let's talk about basketball real quick.
Yeah, that was a
Last,
shit show, huh?
last week, last week's show, I urged people to expand their horizons and go engage in the basketball programs, both men and women, whereby immediately after that, both teams lost games after that. So it is a jinx on me, and I get it. But last night, there was a game between Florida State and Pitt, and Florida State. It kind of harkened back to the old Leonard Hamilton days.
It was an ugly game.
It was an ugly game, a very
I
tough
actually
defense
watched this one,
game.
Vince. Be very proud.
Good for you. But it was a very defense-minded game. Not a lot of scoring. The defense was playing and frustrating Pitt quite a bit. So, you know, as the game wears on, there's some chirping going back and forth like there always is. Probably a little more so because of the one player that was a Florida State player for 2 years that transferred to Pitt. And so there was some barking going on back and forth about that. And then at halftime, right before halftime, there was a kind of a verbal exchange between an assistant coach and a particular player of ours, a Pitt
Yeah,
coach,
which is a shame.
which is, you know, no one should be doing it,
Yeah,
right?
it's
But
not
the
what you do.
coaches especially. And then after that, after halftime, Florida State just kind of strong armed that game away from Pitt, and the end result being, if you didn't watch it, you can go see the clips. You can find them; they're everywhere. But the game is pretty much over. The game is sealed. Pitt drives down to score an easy layup, to pad their score or whatever. And I
Mhm.
think they think that that's kind of going to be the end of it. Our guys dribble the ball down to half court, and the Pitt guys are kind of walking off the court like the game is over.
Mhm.
Well, Malik Ewan is down in the corner calling for the ball. And he was the guy that was kind of in the verbal exchange with the other coach. And he just throws down a dunk, like right at the buzzer,
Which is great.
which is, it's kind of Bush League, but it's also like, you know, the whole, the
It could have
whole,
run out the ball of the series before.
the whole interaction, the whole interaction between both sides was kind of Bush League the whole time. So, and then what really tops it all off is the head coach for Pitt really shows himself and kind of goes after the players, man. It's as a coach, you can't be doing that. You cannot be doing that. And I don't know what's going to happen from that because I think he actually put his hands on.
Yeah, that you could get that could be some kind of you get fired for that kind of thing.
You
Lloyd
can't do
Carr,
that.
yeah,
You
not
can't do
Lloyd
that.
Carr. What's his name? The USF coach way back when.
Who was that?
During the BJ Daniels days.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name. But then a bunch of people jumped in and separated the teams, and that was the end of it. But it was a good win for the Noles because they had been struggling a little bit,
Hmm.
after I jinxed them. But that was a good win for them.
Yeah, listen, we'll take anything we can get, especially it's nice to get wins after the kind of embarrassing story that happened a week or two ago with Leonard Hamilton. So, the good news about there's bad news about today's day and age, and there's good news about today's day and age. Everything's different, everything's social, and you can get killed online the second someone finds out about something and they can post it. But the also good news part about today is that the next day it won't be a story because 1,000 other things have happened in the world.
That's right.
I mean, I've been talking about this with a friend. A UFO could come up from the ocean and land on the White House lawn for like 10 minutes, and all the cameras see it, and then it takes off. And then the next day, we'd be talking about who God knows what.
Well, yeah, that's supposed to happen this weekend, right? The
Yeah, yeah,
UFO
yeah,
disclosure, I think, is supposed to happen this weekend.
yeah.
Um,
It's apparently a footage
a
of
recovered craft.
recovered craft, which would be, we got if that does happen,
Oh, we're
something
doing
we're
a
going to do a
show.
show.
We're,
Yeah,
we're gonna do a show if that happens. That's
yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
But yeah, that's true. It's way less than a 24-hour cycle these days. I mean, it's literally an hour now. You need someone else to do something stupid,
yep,
and then you're basically on the back page,
yeah.
right? So, and the chances of someone doing stupid are 100%.
Now, if you're
100%
Kirk
going to happen
Street,
every day.
you are the person that does something stupider.
Oh, you had to bring it up, didn't you? We can't get through a whole show.
Vince, I have multiple times over the last couple of weeks commented on every post he's made and said, time isn't it a little late for you to be up tweeting like to his son, or
That's his son. Yeah, that's his
yeah,
son tweeting that.
yeah,
Um, and then of course I'm watching the NFL game last week, and I hear his voice. I'm like, God, man. I mean, it's bad enough that I have to turn down the college games and not listen to the broadcasters. Like now I have to turn down the pro games too. By the way, just got a notification that the women's team just beat Clemson 82-67.
that's more points than
And
basketball men's team scored.
let's see, and Tanaya Latson scored 20 points in that game. And again, I'll remind people, probably going to be close to being the number one pick in the WNBA draft when that comes around.
Absolutely. All right, Vince. So that skirmish happened, and here's what I think about it. I think it's totally acceptable as long as it doesn't get into like crazy violence when players have these kind of things. Players have these kind
Mhm.
of incidents because the games are heated. We've seen it in rivalries for all time, right? You see at a little skirmish pull apart. But what the coaches should be doing is pulling people apart and diffusing situations, not being the ones that cause the inflammation. So when that stuff happened, and at first when I saw the headlines, right, because you're like, oh man, I had to go back and watch the game to see what led up to it. You're like, okay, clearly the players had a skirmish and maybe a coach caught in between and maybe pushed someone. But no, it was the coaches almost causing it to get worse,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
not the
And
way to do things.
no. And if it's a player that does that, if a player is instigating or a player is putting, that player is suspended. Like there's no ifs, there's rules around that. So if he doesn't get some kind of punishment in that realm, it's a complete joke.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a complete
Agreed.
joke.
What else, Vince?
Um, Gosh, I
Let's talk
don't
about the
know that.
cruise. So here, I want to remind people, I would be doing the cruise live on the Garnet Old show, and I actually wanted to pull this up. So I want to tell you guys where I'd be actually doing this show from, like where I'll be in the world. So I'm pulling up the itinerary now, but I leave February 1st, which is a Saturday, and I come back the next Saturday. So Thursday, Garnet Old, it's a sea day, so I'll be doing it from the middle of the ocean. Now the good news is Starlink is a thing on cruise ships now, and your boy paid for the streaming Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
I got 100 down last time I was on a ship with Starlink with the streaming package, which is insane.
it's amazing the growth of Garnet Old that's allowed uh, the Garnet Old LLC to send Ryan on a cruise so we could do a live show from the cruise
The
line.
problem with that is it's the final sea day. I still have one more stop at a port the next day, but you usually know what the final sea day means for your boy.
Yeah. You don't want to, let's just say you don't want to miss it, people. You do not want to miss this
I
show.
will have a robe on probably.
It probably is less than probable. It's something that you could tell your grandkids about.
Mm.
That you were there when you were able to catch Garnet Old live from what is it, MSC Royal Caribbean? What is it?
No, this time Norwegian. I'm on the
Norwegian.
Norwegian Epic, which I've come to read after booking is their worst reviewed ship.
That
They
is
only
not
built
going to
one of them.
matter. Yeah, it's not going to matter to you at all.
No, because I've told this to everyone I've ever known. Even if you got invited to the worst cruise on the worst ship, the worst cruise line, which Norwegian's not any of those things, you could still find enjoyment just by relaxing, having a few drinks, and enjoying your loved ones. And it's a family cruise, but Norwegian, the food will be good, the service will be good. So even if the ship is subpar, it is what it is. Now, Vince, we are planning in like a year and a half, I think, from now to do it big and like go on a potentially a Virgin cruise. Now, I've been hearing a lot of things about the Virgin Cruise Line. It's a smaller ship, but they're nice, deck to the nine, and there's no kids allowed. That sounds like a perfect ship. So I'm thinking about it, doing a longer one. Got to consult the wife, as you know. That's always the last step. When you want to sell a cruise to your wife, the moment is so important. So what I found is a couple drinks at night, Saturday, maybe you're watching movies and you're like, you know what? We haven't been on a cruise in a while, and yeah, we should.
The moment is
Yeah,
important anytime, not just about cruises. Anytime you're trying to sell something
yeah.
to your significant other, the moment is you got to be keyed in on the moment.
Not when they first wake up.
No, not when you just got done having a budget meeting,
Yeah,
right? If you have those, not not when you've just come back from the grocery store and had to pay what is it now, like $875 for a dozen eggs? I don't know what it is now.
yep.
But yeah, there are times that you bring things up and times that you don't.
Hmm.
So that's very important. And the longer you're with somebody, the more those moments you understand what those moments are.
Hmm.
So you're good about that. You
Yeah.
usually hit the end goal.
Well, when you hit the yes, you just book it real quick, and then be like, the deposit's already down. I can't. What?
Yeah, we can't waste the money now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll lose the money. We'll lose the
Yeah.
money. I don't know, Ryan. That would be fun. We have a family cruise booked for June.
Mm.
Large extended family cruise, Royal Caribbean, which is going to be a lot of fun. Haven't been
What
on one in
ship?
a while. Monarch of the Seas. It's
Oh, an
not.
older
It's not.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the older ones, but I've not been on a Royal Caribbean for a while. Not Monarch of the Seas.
Magis.
Oh, maybe Oasis of the Seas.
It's a big one then. The Oasis is pretty big.
Yeah. So I don't know that I can get. I would go on a cruise every year.
I would go on 3 a year.
I would go on multiple a year, but
Yeah.
the budget sometimes doesn't allow for that, and the lack of variety in the vacation. The budget doesn't allow.
Mhm.
Maybe if we get more memberships, that could.
If we ever get to a point where Garnet Old grows leaps and bounds and we have a steady flow, we'll do a Garnet Old cruise. We will. It'll be an
Yeah.
excuse to, and we will expense it at the end of the year and we'll claim it on our taxes.
That's
By the way,
right.
Vince and I probably have to have a tax meeting in the next
We
month.
probably do. We probably do.
But Vince, I mean, it's been a good show. This is what I like about the off season, Vince, because it allows us to just have fun, and I like having fun.
Yeah, it's a little helter skelter, willy nilly, a little discombobulated, but it is fun.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout, everybody. Soon, if Ryan and I are going to talk about a possible crowdsourced weekend in Tallahassee. Breeze Fry just showed up. Welcome,
Last
Breeze.
second.
Yeah, but by the way, it reminded me. I was watching Peek Around the Corner the other day, and Greg has Greg Greg seems to have some inside sources on an ACC meeting going on this week. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but
I've heard one other
Breeze was
channel
in the
cover that.
chat. Yeah, Breeze was in the chat, and Greg called him out as Breeze Frey.
That's perfect. That's perfect. I mean, that's his name. That I mean, cut and dry. That's what it is. So.
But anyway, back to what I was saying. Be on the lookout for new information about a weekend with us, maybe with Madso, maybe both. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting over there a couple times before the summer hits.
Absolutely, Vince. And listen, the members only show will be fun. We'll coordinate on time. The wife is working all weekend, so it's really up to me and you to figure that out. And we'll have fun. We'll talk again. If you're a YouTube member, if you hit join or you got a free membership tonight, we'll announce it. I'll put it on X, but then we'll post it for an entire week for our members only before it goes live for our other loyal watchers. And we're going to do our top 10, both our top 10 favorite movies and shows. And then maybe get into little football, Florida State related movies as well. But
Yeah,
the show as a whole will be other, just in general, top 10 movies and top 10 shows, which Vince and I are a little, I'm not going to say we're TV show whores, but, which is a crass way to put it, but we both like our series. And you gave
we
up on
do.
me on Lost. You haven't gone back to it. It hurts. It hurts, Vince, because you were enjoying it.
I was enjoying it. I will pick it up again. My intent is to finish it. My intent is to finish it.
And someday I'll get you to watch Dexter.
Yeah, um, the Penguin.
Yeah, the Penguin. Daredevil coming back.
Wait, did you see it? Did you watch the Penguin?
I've seen it. Yeah, it's great.
Oh my gosh, what a great season. Watch
Yeah.
that if you haven't watched it.
Karate Kid coming out.
Cobra Kai is coming up pretty soon. Yeah. Oh man, there's always something when you say these things and it sparks my memory. Anybody going to MegaCon in Orlando in February? Reach out to me on X because I decided I was going to go. I went last year for the first time and I had a great time.
Which one is MegaCon?
What do you mean?
Is it
Which
like
one is
pop
Mega-
culture, anime? Like, what are we talking here?
It's all of it. It's celebrities, it's TVs, it's movies, it's anime.
What week is it in February?
It's February 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yes, I'll be on the cruise. I'll be in the ocean.
Yeah, you'll be on the cruise.
Are you
But
going
I'll
to
be
dress
there
up
on Saturday.
as an anime character, Vince?
I'm not going to dress up as an anime character, but I will be in costume.
Oh, oh, I can't wait to see that.
I'll just leave it right there. But if anybody's going, I would love to connect with you there, and I'll be there on Saturday. So if you're looking to support Garnet Old, there's some ways you can do it. We already talked about that. It keeps the lights on, and Ryan's got a lot of lights there. Each one of those lights needs to be supported. Don't forget to follow us on X at Garnet Old, at Big Papa East, at BC Knoll. That's important too. We need to get the numbers up there as well. Don't forget to get your charter fishing done with
Yeah,
Captain Black. I mean, it's everything. This is the end of the show
this
commercial.
is it.
And then Ryan, this is all you, brother.
Screw ESPN internally. No inside info, no contacts, no problem. The Garnet Old Show, as always. And Vince,
Send Chiefs all the damn time.
go Knowles, everyone. Have a great night.
Go Knowles.